I wanted to talk about vitamin D. We got into this last time, and listening back afterwards, I realized I needed clarification, so I'm sure other people do as well. You're not a fan of supplementing with it. You don't feel the sun has anything to do with our level of vitamin D in the body.
Right.
Well, let's start there, because it's an underlying assumption by basically everybody that vitamin D, our main source, is sunlight. Talk about where we got that wrong.
We got that wrong when they took away our fat. So nobody was making you stand outside, getting a half an hour of sun on your skin pre 1980s. I mean, you can go to Ngram Viewer and look up this stuff, see when it started to be written about, when it started. I do that all the time with things. Inuits don't have vitamin D deficiencies. They don't have things, illnesses that are associated with low vitamin D, because if they don't go and eat Pringles from the store that, people brought, they are living on seal, and it's a very fatty animal. So that vitamin D is a fat soluble nutrient that comes from the food they're eating. It's all very new. And the 70, the magic number 70 that I've learned in school is not, I don't think you need that much. You have to remember, most people are coming to me knowing that I'm a thyroid specialist. They probably have thyroid issues. Most of them do. And if you are hypothyroid, you can't synthesize nutrients anyway. So you need adequate thyroid function to be able to turn that animal fat into vitamin D.
Okay. A lot more I want to get into within this to make sure I fully understand. So are we saying that vitamin D, which I would totally agree with, you can get it through at least certain foods, but are you saying that the sun can't provide vitamin D, or it's just not what we should rely on?
Okay, so the sun hits the lipids on our skin, and that is supposed to turn it into vitamin D3, right? The synthesis that happens through lipids. Okay, so it actually doesn't work that way. I mean, it may work that way. It's sort of a backup plan, because nobody's eating fat. If you're not eating fat, maybe, I'm in the sun all the time. If I weren't in the sun all the time, in Scotland, for instance, I'm not going to be eating vitamin D. Most people say, oh, I'm taking vitamin D seasonally because of the sun. This is all, I haven't looked it up recently, but I'm sure if I did a deep dive into it, I could tell you the year, just like I did with folate. We don't need folate either. The year that they started pushing this through, I'm sure this came from after the cholesterol hypothesis, because the only way you can get vitamin D, vitamin A, any fat soluble nutrient is if you eat that damn cholesterol.
Okay. The way I understood it before talking to you, we can get vitamin D obviously from a supplement. We can get it through certain foods, and then we can get it through the sun. And the way I've looked at it is, when I'm not getting sunlight here in Ontario in the wintertime, I need to be upping through supplementation or foods vitamin D so my body has that. And I'm still a little bit gray here. It sounds like you're not saying you can't get vitamin D from the sun. It's just not our primary source. Do I have that?
Right. It's not a primary source. Yeah, it's not as efficient. There are plenty of people who don't live in the sun, who eat a lot of animal fat, who don't have vitamin D issues. So you have, fluoride causes vitamin D deficiency. You can't just isolate one factor and blame everything on it. Well, I can. Thyroid, I can blame everything on hypothyroidism, on thyroid dysfunction. But again, it's a little bit more complicated. And supplements, isn't it better to get it from your food? We know that omega-3, the sardines, the whatever. I don't trust anybody's vats and vats of oil becoming rancid, and then put it in these little capsules. I'm suspicious of that. If you can get it from your food, I would recommend that.
Me too. But I just want to make sure people are covered depending on their unique situation. So I think we're on the same page now where sun can be a factor. And you're just saying that you lean into the food source. An area I want to dig into a bit more in that, because if you do a Google search, foods that are high in vitamin D, it's going to give you this list. I'm assuming by the way you responded there, you're not thinking we need to be that nuanced and search out these specific top foods to get it. You're just eating your animal fats, and that's going to cover you.
Absolutely, because you do a Google search, it is predisposed toward the cholesterol hypothesis. You're never going to find, unless you do the deep dives that I do in my research, on face value, stay in the sun, avoid animal fat. So you're not going to find, those top foods that you find, it's a crock. All Italians gravitate to the sun in the summer, and they all think they're getting tons of iodine. And all of my Italian patients that I had when I had an open practice before COVID, they were iodine deficient. So, it's like that. It's that kind of a...
Are you talking about vitamin D or iodine?
I was just mentioning iodine because people think that if you live by the sea, you can absorb the iodine.
Got it. Okay. But given we need to work with where people are at, somebody in Ontario not getting sun throughout the winter, not eating the way you're recommending, and even maybe they are eating a lot of animals, it's just not to the carnivore extreme, could you see an importance of vitamin D supplementation if they're eating, say, an animal-based diet, but still including some carbs, and they need that little bump to keep their vitamin D in a good range?
I would question why they need that bump. I would say they're eating enough. They should eat enough fat because that's the most bioavailable and healthy source. I'm a bit of a hard ass. I don't know, but I think that obviously if you live in Ontario, I'm going to live in Scotland half the year. The sun is not going to shine very much. I will not consider taking vitamin D because I eat a lot of fat, but I think that you can eat some carbohydrates. I think that, then we're going to, we might veer off into the Randall effect. I don't know. But if you have adequate animal fat and you have adequate and you're taking iodine and you have the ability to turn that fat into vitamin D, vitamin A, vitamin K, vitamin E, then there's no need to supplement. So if you refuse to eat animal fat, definitely you should supplement.
If you enjoyed that clip, you're going to want to head over here and catch a full episode. I'll see you over there.
Every single cell in the body needs iodine. Every tissue needs iodine. Iodine is an antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral. It's a heavy metal chelator. That's my shield. We use more nutrients when we're in a state of stress. If your body's fighting an infection,